Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now. Let's go ahead and take a look here at that Doppler perspective. You can see some rain. You know, it's pretty wet out there. So that's something that we really do need. Definitely some positive news as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things here indoor the Weather Center. And I know it's pretty late. You can see around 2:05 a.m., but some pretty nice weather conditions here, are what, maybe you want, but that's not what we're seeing here right now. We do need to precip really bad with the drought pattern that we're in. I know there is a really small chance this could become tropical here, 10%. I mean, I'm not that concerned about that. No, it's just not ideal beach conditions, but we need that precipitation. We're getting some of that. Got around an inch of rain there in the ward areas around Fairbanks. Where we're at, at least it started only a little over 1/10 of an inch on that Tuesday, but we should start to get more here as we look ahead, which would be some good news. We really need to precip. That's been a storyline here for a while. You see that rainfall forecast next 7 days. You see that purple here, around 2 inches on average around Stark, but some areas could get a lot more than that. Other areas will get less though, so you want to be in that pocket where you get that rain, you get that moisture. We've had a wildfire threat around. We need to get the precip. I know that's, I just keep saying it over and over, but it's important. The drought monitor last week here, and we'll get a new update pretty soon. It still had some real concerns towards South Florida. They're getting the rain that they need, to try to make things better down there. We're getting some rain up here. We're not seeing as bad of a drought as they're seeing. But things, definitely need to look a little bit better here as we look ahead in toward the timeline. So I'll see that the last 12 hours on the rainfall here. And let's go ahead and go to our other source real quick and kind of see that. You'll see what I'm talking about here. You see the ward areas there, like around the Keys. They're getting a lot of rain, 3, 4, 5 inches in some of these spots. You see there, northern part of the Florida Keys and like up here, as you look toward like areas there between Gainesville and Waldo there on Waldo Road, areas around Gainesville that I'll put a marker on here, about 8/10 of an inch there, and that where that red square is up toward Fairbanks. Radar estimates over the last 12 hours about 1 inch of rain. Around Stark, it's only about a couple tenths as we get up toward Bradford County, but that's better than nothing, but we're going to get some more here as we look ahead. You see some areas in southwest, south central Georgia not getting as much in the last 12 hours. We do have some more rain coming though. As you can see, there's some rain off the coast right now. We'll have to watch for a small chance of some of these becoming severe. It's not a huge chance. We did have one warning in McCulloch County back on that Tuesday that we posted about on the different platforms there. So that was something they were dealing with there toward that coastal region. It's always important to just keep an eye on things. Facebook there and Twitter/X. We post, if we don't need to break in. But we were watching that on that Tuesday there in McCulloch County. But, as we look ahead today, there is a little bit of spin out there. I wouldn't completely discount the chance that we get something to try to get close to needing a tornado warning. I don't know if we'd actually get that, to be quite honest. It may not be quite enough, of the parameters around to get that. We don't have any formal risk, so that's good news here, obviously. I know things did overachieve nationally on Tuesday. We had quite a few warnings there as we were looking out toward the west. It was kind of interesting to see, to be quite honest, as we were looking out toward the west. There's still some severe thunderstorm warnings now in toward central Texas. So that's a storyline for those folks out there. You see a flash flood warning around Dallas, and they had a flash flood emergency in the Wichita area on Tuesday. Some confirmed tornado warnings here and there. As we were looking at things, nothing really overwhelming. I mean, stuff kind of got close. So there are a few PDS, particularly dangerous situation warnings. I reposted them on Twitter/X at CloudKC. I know it was a situation where we did have damage in spots, but, overall, and I know the flooding was better on Wichita, these tornadoes and the warning acts and could have been worse. Based on some of the wording that we were seeing there, it could have ended up being a worse, type of a scenario. But, the threat was only 2 out of 5, and we had a lot of warnings there on that Tuesday. That was something we posted about on Twitter/X. at Cloud Casey. As I know, the temperature pattern's kind of intriguing. Look at those temperatures right now. Early June, we see 40s there, even in parts of Kansas right now. You know, and it's 1 in the morning there. I mean, it's cool. It's cool weather. You know, even up in the Northeast, I mean, we have 50s there, up in northern Maine, and like down in Florida, it's in the 70s. It is a lot warmer as we're looking here, as we're tracking things, as we're monitoring the situation. I know it's just always important to watch. Again, we could have some enhancement with the wind at times. Some of the models are not going to handle this great here at points. You see a few current lightning strikes. I'll leave those up as I put our model guidance up. It was underdoing the rain chances for Tuesday. We got more rain than we were expecting, Roy, on Tuesday. The models, I know, it's just sometimes they're not going to pick up on some of these things as well. As we see early in the morning, the anticipation, at least here, as we're tracking things, as we're monitoring things, this is like around 11 a.m., noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 p.m., 11, midnight there. So you see a lot of moisture lingering. It may not set up exactly, you know, in a pattern like that even. It's not going to be exactly like that for sure, but, you know, the timeline might be a little different than that. The model is really not showing as much precip on Tuesday as we really got around our area. And, you know, toward the west, the severe chances ended up being a little bit more, you know, fierce with the warnings than we were anticipating. So that was interesting to see as we were tracking things here in the meteorology world. So just got to kind of stay tuned here and stay safe, obviously. You know, we just got to continue to give you guys the latest. I'm going to go ahead and go back on over some of the graphics here. Of course, we're always on top of things for the 62 counties. We're in Bradford County. We always try to give you guys the latest here for our region. So important. You know, we got to stay on top of things here. Got to try to give you guys the very latest on exactly what is happening. And we're always on pretty tornado warning storms if we need to be, you know, whenever those arise, we're always on for them. As you say, extended forecast now, a little bit cooler because of that cloudiness, higher rain chances here on Wednesday and Thursday. Severe chances, you didn't see a formal risk. I mean, you know, there's always a chance of a few warnings in this pattern. Severe thunderstorm warnings, you know, even flash flood warnings if we get some training of the rain. And you know, again, it's not, you know, impossible. It's not impossible to get a rogue tornado warning. Again, of course, if we get stuff that we need to break in for, we will. But the rain is the best thing out of this. Just be careful on the roads, though. Sometimes that rain can get really heavy real quick. So be mindful of that, too. And then you see the rain chances drop off some, but they stay elevated here, really. You know, Saturday might be the best day in all this. We just need that precipitation here. So please stay tuned. You know, these temperature trends, we're watching them bounce up and down somewhat. You know, with the cloud cover maybe being less prevalent later on because more of a summertime pattern. So we have more warming there in the day. You get to 93 Saturday, a little above average, obviously. Even those lows, a tad bit above average there as we're looking at things in the extended forecast. So that's kind of the storyline there as we're monitoring the overall situation. I know. Let me jump back on over toward our graphics here. You'll be able to see what we're talking about. You'll be able to see what we're dealing with on the infrared satellite. I know it's always intriguing to watch. There's really not much organization with this here right now in terms of any tropical potential. But we'll watch it. We'll track it here. You see marine warning off of East Central Florida or so. Water spouts possible there. You know, we'll make sure nothing goes, you know, too crazy here as we're looking. I don't, you know, want to turn the logo red or anything about this. We need the rain. Just be careful on the roads. This is not a really big deal, but, you know, still got to be extra careful. Haven't had a lot of rain lately. There was a lot of rain there, like on Waldo Road between Stark and Gainesville there on that Tuesday. You know, as we're looking in stretches of that, especially there in Alachua County. Just kind of be mindful. I mean, some of our spots, even in our area, got more. I mean, let's look real quick. Look at this spot here in southwestern Putnam. We got almost 4 inches of rain as we were looking. I know it doesn't show any cities, but east of La Colusa there, as I zoom back out, you know, as we're kind of monitoring things, as we're kind of tracking things here We're just trying to give you guys the very latest on exactly what is happening. So, very important here. Very important to do all that there as we're looking, as we're tracking here. Just gotta continue to monitor all that, obviously. So, I'm just trying to be here for you. Just trying to be here for you in the Weather Center. Also, if there's any questions or comments real quick before I wrap it up, we just need to be aware of the rain. It's a good thing, though. We need the precip. Don't want too much too quick. Of course, we have to put advisories on Tuesday, but no blast flood warnings or anything like that. So, again, we're in a drought. We need the precipitation. So important. We don't want lightning either. Whenever thunder roars, to go indoors. When things are a little on the hot side, make sure you're drinking water. When that's something that we have to watch for when we get the sun to come back out more as we look ahead. But I know we've also had kind of a hazy look at things just because of wildfire smoke coming from the north there. As we've been looking at things, it's been kind of that hazy look. We had some Saharan dust, concern around too. But, there's a small chance of tropical development with this 10%, but I wouldn't stress out about it. Not overly concerned. If it starts to jump, we'll let you know because I know it indicates a little bit more organization and wind enhancement here. But, even if that happened, it might not really be something where we'd have to worry too much at all, really. I mean, the rain, it might actually kind of concentrate rain more where some areas would get less, though, than what we would want, and some areas would get a little bit too much. So that'd be something to watch, but that's not expected. Only 10% chance. If it really goes up, we'll let you know, obviously. And if we get a name out of this, then it'd be that A name on the list here in 2025. But I don't want to make a big deal out of this. If we do get that, then that would be something we would have to make a big deal about just to be, on the safe side, because even though probably still didn't get much out of it at that point, if it became Andrea, we would have to just make sure it didn't somehow try to get a little bit stronger than a weak tropical storm. But the conditions aren't really favorable for anything more than that. Weak tropical storm, weak subtropical storm, not really something to be too concerned about. But we'll watch it. Be careful at the coast. Rip currents can be an issue if you are out in it here. So just be mindful because it is an unusual direction on these movement, on the movement of the storms here, on these storms and their movement. Going from east to west in a lot of cases. So that's not something we're used to dealing with, as we're looking at things either. So that's something to kind of keep in mind here toward the Weather Center. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe.